advice is something that you ask for or pay for, and opinions is something that you didn't ask for. So be very careful when you're listening to make sure that you're truly listening. And then if you are asked for advice, that you give it, but not from your perspective, but from the perspective of the person that's asking for the advice. What would they do, or what should they do in their position? Not what you would do. 4 in the morning. And time to get the ice bath in, I reckon. Straight into the cold water.
Girls like this kind of stuff, like a bad boys, not a good guys. So I try to be a little bit bad boy.
Are you a bad boy?
Kind of 50-50, I think. I'm not saying I'm a very good guy, very bad guy, but yeah, kind of. But not like hurt or harm people, not anything else. But just on a dance floor, I'm a bad boy.
So it's about 4:30 in the morning now. I've done my ice bath, done the cold plunge, and walking on our way to the gym. And I just want to say, first and foremost, the whole idea of it, right, is, like I say, is to add one variable in at a time, master that, and then move on to the next thing. Trying to do it all at once, it's usually fails miserably. It has done for me in the past anyway. You can add in as many variables as you see that you're capable of achieving. Don't get me wrong, like, if you can get nutrition and if you can dial in your macros, your gym, your ice baths, all in one fucking day, straight into it, and crack on, then by all means do it. But don't beat yourself up if you miss something, if you take a day off or anything like that. Fuck, I think I might rain today. I can feel some goddamn rain. So anyway, like I say, don't take it all too seriously. Life is meant to be serious, but it's also meant to be fucking fun. So, this is all fun for me. Fun, challenge, but also you're in the top 1%. Look how many people are open out here walking towards, their better self. Fuck all people doing it, and that's why it's fun, because you become that 0.1%, and you certainly feel like it too. So as I'm sitting here with my mate and just having a little bit of a reflection time, having my coffee after my little workout this morning, I came across a video where it was father and son talking about sort of their dynamic, and as they got older, they didn't really sort of gel or get along, or there was a lot of resentment from the son, and the dad was sort of like, this is not how it was sort of, I thought it was going to be in my mind. Anyway, they went through some sort of therapy, at least from the dad's idea, which was, shit, tell you what, it's better than what I fucking got. But I thought about my dad and myself and the upbringing that we had, and I think a lot of the old school mentality, and a lot of people in general, we expect them to love us in a way that we want to be loved, not in a way that they know how to love. It sounds corny as fuck with this whole love language stuff, but ultimately there is a form of love language, because you can see it in individuals that whether it be your mother, your sister, your dad, your cousin, your partner, other partners that you've had, friends of yours. Some of your friends may never give you a compliment, but they may take the piss out of you. But in a way, that's how they fucking show their love. They might, be like, sort of, they're not the person that's going to just straight up and say, hey, I love you. And in a way, when I was younger, you know, my dad was so busy working his ass off to provide for us kids because my mum wasn't there, and so he was a single parent for a lot of the time, and then, you know, having different relationships here and there for his own personal side of things, because, you know, as a kid I didn't want anybody else inside of our lives. However, as a man, when you grow up and you understand that, you know, you want somebody to love you too, and so you've got to, you know, give it a shot and have somebody and bring them into your life, right? So as a kid, you know, all I really wanted was just a bit of a pat on the back and a hug here and there. But my dad's love language was just to work and provide and to make sure that we weren't living on the street, basically. And he was very good at it. Very good at it. There wasn't a man that worked harder in my life. In fact, I take full inspiration from my father in that regard. He was just, you know, there was a saying that if you want somebody to get something done, give it to a busy man, because they'll always get it done. Give it to a lazy man, it'll never get done. And my dad was the busiest man on the planet, but he always got shit done if you needed something done, right? You know, you break down, your car fucking fails or whatever it is, he would be onto it straight away and get it done, whilst also doing his work throughout the day and still getting home to, you know, make dinner for everybody. So my dad was phenomenal. But, you know, when you're growing up, a lot of the times when you're going through shit at school, or you know, you just want a little bit of a hug, life's a little bit hard, you just want somebody to understand you, you know, you just want somebody to hear you. And growing up, I didn't really get listened to, I guess. Nobody really listened to what I had to say. Everyone was too busy, you know, doing their own thing, and Dad was too busy to actually acknowledge what it is that I was having problems with, or, you know, needed help with at school. You know, if I needed help at school, he'd get me a tutor, but it wasn't like he would come and sit down in my room and actually help me do it. If I needed to do homework, go to your room and do your homework. Well, I'd just go to my room, and then I'd stay in there and go to sleep at night, and I'd be scared shitless in the morning because I knew I hadn't done my homework, because I couldn't figure it out. I didn't understand it, didn't know it. I was dyslexic and I couldn't read. And so you'd have to go to school with the fear of knowing that you're going to get bad grades, and then you get bad grades, it gets to your parents then tell you that you're fucking, you know, why aren't you doing good enough at school? They get you tutors, and then so you do schoolwork, then you go to sport, then you have to go and have a fucking another bit of schoolwork outside of school. It was a lot of fucking shit, you know, for a young kid, and all I wanted was somebody to listen to me, but they didn't really listen. And my dad's not the best at listening at all, at anybody's advice. It doesn't matter who's coming at him. But one thing that he has done as he's gotten older and a little bit softer, and I've gotten, you know, older myself and become a man, is that he has listened. Not as much as you probably want to, but way more than before. He actually listens from a different point of view. He understands that me and him are completely different, yet we are the same person. In mannerisms, the way I speak, talk, act. You know, my dad's my best mate. You know, anybody would say that I'm a clone of his, but our personalities are different. Him and my sister are very personality-wise the same. But he's finally opened up and listened, and I've had to tell him sort of certain stories that have caused me grief in my life and gone down the wrong road and all these sorts of things. And now he tells me he loves me a lot. It took for me to leave at the age of 32 years old or 33 years old, move countries away from him, and spend a lot of time, significant amount of time away from him, for him to reflect and understand how much he really, really does love me, and that, you know, he was only trying his best. It actually makes me emotional talking about it now. But what I'm getting at is that there's listening, and then there's listening. Listening, real true listening, is not having a response, not having a solution, not having anything other than just purely listening to the person that wants to talk about what they're going through and feel as though they're heard. Now, if they ask for advice, that's when you give it. Because advice is something that you ask for or pay for, and opinions is something that you didn't ask for. So be very careful when you're listening to make sure that you're truly listening. And then if you are asked for advice, that you give it, but not from your perspective, but from the perspective of the person that's asking for the advice. what would they do or what should they do in their position, not what you would do. Maybe what you would do would help, but do think about the other person as well in regards to that. They're not like you. They're not built the same way as you. So that's something that I'm extremely proud of my old man for coming out now. Like, I'll get a random text after work, "Love you, mate," and then I'm like, "Love you too. What's up?" And he goes, "Nothing much, just watching TV." And I'm going, fuck. When I was a kid crying in my room, but for years, just wishing somebody would come, like my dad would come into my room, give me a big hug, pick me up, and just tell me, "Hey mate, I love you. I'm proud of you. You're doing well." To get that when you're older, although it be, many years later when you don't necessarily need it as much, it's still fucking amazing to get it. And to see his growth in that regard is phenomenal. So all I'm asking all I'm really sharing actually is just for you guys to understand what listening really means. To anybody who's asking or that is don't brush over somebody that's wanting to share their thoughts with you. And it mightn't be your personality type, but you will get further down the track or further down the line, whether it be your spouse or whether it be your kids later on in life, they will know and you will also know. So try to have a conscious effort to really listen without having a response. It goes a long way.